And so you, in the middle, to live a completely integrated and full life, you want to live as full in your soul and your Seimei. You want to be doing something that you value and that you feel good about, all right? And you want to go somewhere that you want to go. I've wanted to go to San Diego for 10 years. 2002, Adam went into high school. I didn't want to leave him in high school. 2006, he graduated high school. I was going to go. My dad passed away. I was very close to my dad. It took me 2 years to get over that. And miraculously, it was somebody else's outside force that said, you can no longer live in the house you're at, because I could probably stay there for another 5 years without getting off my butt. You know, I could be the best at procrastination. And so some outside force sometimes is needed to push us off course, because the course that we're on is not good for us. And how often did I resist, you know, the outside force, and I'm fighting the outside force instead of allowing that outside force maybe to believe that there's something, a higher power that knows better than I do. And so the first model, the first triad is you, and to live a fuller soul, role, goal life. When we run profiles, we see that we're filled, most of us, with one or more of the three frustrations. Goal frustration. I'm not where I think I ought to be, right? How many of you feel that way, that you're not where you think you ought to be, right? This is like 70% of us walk around with this frustration we call goal frustration. Role frustration, another 60% of us are walking around not doing what we value or valuing what we do. I've had the great good fortune to be amazingly prosperous, not in money, but in being able to do what I want to do for the past 31 years, which is to teach and coach and train and learn and be a student and share that information and knowledge and wisdom with other people. And then soul frustration. 2/3 of the people that we profile, which probably reflects the population at large, has soul frustration. Meaning, I'm not being who I really am. I'm not really being who I am. And there's no perfect balance here. There's no perfection in the world, except maybe Seimei. And ironically, we try to perfect ourselves as if somehow we're defective. And I learned over the years by working with other people that that is the biggest myth of all, is that somehow we're defective, that we have to keep becoming something because we're not good enough already. When I finally embraced this, and believe me, I'm nowhere near complete, but I realized that who I be is more valuable than what I do or where I go. And the better I can find that balance for me of the soul, the role, and the goal, the happier my life is. And so that's the first model I want to share with you. And to me, at a soul level, generosity, gratitude are two of the things that I feel have been most important to my own personal prosperity. To be generous, to share, to give, and I'd say the third one would be give. To have gratitude for the small things. You know, you get a check for $50 and you think, that's not much money. I never feel that way. I always feel that whatever money comes to me, I'm grateful for it. And one of my key philosophies of life is a little phrase that I've chanted for years, and I'll share it with you. Big doors swing on little hinges. Big doors swing on little hinges. I used to try to push the big doors open, you know, and use brute force. And then one day I realized there's this little tiny hinge that'll open any big door. And I stopped trying to push the big doors open, and I started looking for the little hinges that would open the big doors. And that transformed my life. Okay, so the first model I want to share with you is this soul role goal model to as often as possible to be you. I was very touched by what Kristen wrote. And oh, by the way, Don Imus wished Jamie a happy birthday on air about a week ago. I heard him that morning. It was really cool. And so I've always endeavored to be generous because I feel it's good karma to give and to always be grateful for whatever I have. And sometimes the things I'm most grateful for are the things I think are the worst, baddest things. That I'm grateful that I got, forced to leave my house, because if I weren't forced to leave my house, I wouldn't be standing up here 4 weeks later saying, I can't believe I'm going to land on a yacht in San Diego Harbor. It's like there's no Hollywood producer that would have bought that script, right? Isn't that true? So that's the first model I want to share with you. The second model, again, using this same analogy, the same triangle, I want to talk about money just for a minute, all right? I've always, as Jerry talked about, I've always had mixed feelings about money. And I have to really work with my son because he's worse than me. He just sees people who are greedy, and he's got very bad attachments to money. And I say to him, probably as much for me as for him, I say, Adam, money is neutral. Money has no real energy of its own. Money is only a currency that you maneuver in the way that you maneuver it. So money has no energy except that which you give it. So if you see money as a bad thing, it's going to be very hard to attract money. If you see having a lot of money as even being a worse thing, because people who have lots of money you could assume are greedy and, how did they get their money? But here's the truth that I discovered, and it's taken me all my life to discover this, and who knows, maybe Rich said to me the other day something about, you're probably going to be wealthier than you can even possibly imagine. And I said, I already am, but he says, no, I mean in money, because now that you've allowed, instead of wanting and instead of resisting, amazing things can happen, all right? So money, there are 3 ways to make money, and I'm going to get real practical now. Active, passive, and residual. Okay? Active, passive, and residual. 3 ways to make money. Active means you work. So when you work, you get paid. Some people trade time for money. They work by the hour. There's no bad work. There's no unimportant work. I cleaned dishes and I served hamburgers to get myself through college. It was the best job I ever could have had. It from 15 to 22. I must have cooked 1 million eggs, cut 100,000 bagels, all right, and made more tips than most people were making a full-time salary working part-time. Why? Because I learned the most valuable lesson at 15 years old. That if you really want to be wealthy, just serve others. Just learn how to serve others. You serve others, first of all, even if you don't get paid to serve others, you get karmic satisfaction, right? I mean, who doesn't like to be of service? It's part of our human DNA, is like we want to be served and we want to be of service. But I realized at 15 years old that when somebody walked through the door of the luncheonette, that if I could have their coffee and bagel and cream cheese on the table by the time they sat down, they'd give me an extra 10-cent tip. They'd give me 20 cents instead of 10 cents. Why? Because I already knew what they wanted to eat and I had it ready for them. They'd walk in, I'd see their face, they'd just wave. 5 minutes later, their perfect sunny side eggs would show up on the table with toast just the way they wanted it, right? And people looked at me, my friends, who like, why do you do this, I mean, my friends would be willing to spit in their soup, just to screw around with them, and I could never understand that, because to me, that extra 10 cents was spending money at college. And that's how I worked my way through college. I paid my way through college by serving others over a counter, hamburgers, eggs, and I used to drive from Hartford, Connecticut to New Jersey every Friday night so I could work Saturday and Sunday and then drive back to college on Sunday night. And I did that throughout college. And that taught me at an early age how to serve other people. When you work for money, everybody has to work. We all work, all right? And even if you had all the money in the